What would you do if a shadow from your past didn't just reappear at your doorstep, but tried to buy a way back into your life? For 9 years, a single mother struggled to forge a stable world for her son, a world untouched by the man who vanished without a trace. But on a stormy Wednesday, he returned. He was no longer the young man she once loved. He was a powerful businessman with an offer that could reshape their existence in an instant. This isn't a tale of forgiveness. It's about the cost of peace, the burden of hidden truths, and the agonizing choice between a comforting lie and a painful reality. The rain drumming against the window of their fourth-floor apartment was a familiar sound, a constant presence in the quiet life Maria Novak had carefully built. It was a Wednesday evening in Denver, which meant budget noodles, Alex's half-finished physics homework scattered across the small kitchen table, and the soft hum of their aging refrigerator. This was their sanctuary, a fortress of routine pieced together from the wreckage of a life that ended 9 years ago. Alex, now a lanky 16-year-old with his mother's thoughtful eyes and a jawline beginning to sharpen in a way that caught Maria off guard, looked up from his notebook. "Mom, do you remember the integral of e to the power x?" he asked. "Same as it was yesterday, sweetheart," Maria replied with a smile, stirring the pot. "It's its own derivative and integral, the self-obsessed equation." Alex chuckled, a warm, deep sound that filled the small space. Right, the egoist. That's when the knock came. It wasn't the gentle tap of their elderly neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, or the lively bang of Alex's friend, Mike. This was a solid, intentional sound, 3 distinct raps on the wood, confident and out of place. Maria's brow furrowed. They weren't expecting anyone. She wiped her hands on a dish towel and signaled for Alex to stay seated. Peering through the peephole, her world tilted. The distorted view showed a man in a perfectly tailored navy suit, his brown hair neatly combed back, raindrops glinting on his broad shoulders. His face was leaner, etched with lines of stress and authority that weren't there a decade ago. But it was unmistakably him, Jonathan Hargrove. Maria's heart pounded like a trapped bird. 9 years, 5 months, and 3 days. Not a call, not a letter, not a single cent of child support. He had vanished like a ghost, and now he stood on her doorstep. She took a shaky breath and opened the door, keeping the chain on. "What do you want, Jonathan?" Her voice was colder and steadier than she felt. He didn't flinch. His cool, calculating blue eyes met hers. "Hello, Maria. May I come in? It's been a long time." "Not long enough," she shot back. "You have no right to be here." "I believe I do," he said, his deep voice carrying a hint of the warmth she once loved. His gaze flicked past her into the apartment, landing on Alex, who was now standing, his expression a mix of confusion and dawning recognition from the few faded photos Maria kept tucked away. "I want to see my son." The protective fury that had fueled her for nearly a decade surged. "Your son? You lost that right when you walked out on a pregnant woman with nothing but a note and a guilty conscience." "I know how it looked," he said, a crack appearing in his composure. "It was complicated." "Please, Maria," 5 minutes for him. It was Alex's pale, wide-eyed face that made her decision. This wasn't just about her anger anymore. She slid the chain off and stepped back, her body tense. 5 minutes. Jonathan stepped inside, and the small apartment seemed to shrink around him. He brought the scent of expensive cologne, rain, and something else, power. It radiated from him, a stark contrast to their worn furniture and second-hand books. His eyes locked on Alex. "Alex," he said, his voice thick with an emotion Maria couldn't place. "I'm your father." Alex froze, a statue of teenage disbelief, glancing from the stranger in the pristine suit to his mother's stony expression. "Mom, is it true?" she said softly, hating Jonathan for forcing this moment in their safe haven. Jonathan took a cautious step forward. "I know I don't deserve to be here. I have much to answer for, but I'm here now, and I want to make things right." He pulled a thick, pristine envelope from his suit jacket and placed it on the cluttered table next to Alex's homework. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm offering a future. Maria stared at the envelope as if it were a venomous snake. We don't want your money, Jonathan. It's not just money, he said, his gaze steady on her. It's a house, Maria. A fully paid-for home in the East Highlands. A trust fund for Alex to cover any university, a career, anything he wants. It's a fresh start, a new life. The room fell silent, save for the rain's steady beat and Maria's racing heart. He wasn't just visiting. He was invading, trying to erase 9 years of struggle with a checkbook. He wasn't just shifting the conversation. He was attempting to rewrite their entire reality. Why? Maria's voice was a whisper cutting through the tension. After all this time, why now? Jonathan's gaze was intense, a storm of unspoken motives. Because it's time, and I need you to hear me out. The weight of the envelope on the table was immense, a tangible symbol of the chasm that opened the moment Jonathan Hargrove walked through their door. After he left, promising to call the next day, a heavy silence filled the apartment. The noodles sat cold, untouched. Alex spoke first, his voice barely audible. Is that really him? Maria sank into a rickety chair, her legs giving out. She nodded, unable to meet her son's eyes. He looks old, Alex said, a strangely profound observation. The reckless, carefree boy of 24 she remembered was gone, replaced by a hardened 33-year-old man who wore his wealth like armor. 9 years is a long time, she murmured. Alex reached out and touched the envelope, its thick, creamy paper embossed with a law firm's logo she didn't recognize. A house, a trust fund. Mom, is this real? The hope in his voice stabbed her heart. For 9 years, she had worked 2 jobs, mornings as a paralegal at a small firm, evenings and weekends waitressing to keep them afloat. Their life was a delicate balance of rent, bills, and groceries. She had patched Alex's jeans, bought his textbooks used, and saved for months for new sneakers. She gave him stability, love, security. But she could never offer this, the effortless power to erase financial worry. I don't know, she lied, because she knew it was real. Jonathan never bluffed about money. Her mind drifted to the past, a place she hadn't revisited in years. She remembered Jonathan not as the corporate giant in her living room, but as a passionate literature student who quoted novelists and promised her a life of wonder. They met in a college library, 2 scholarship kids from different worlds. She fell for his charm, his sharp mind, his defiance of a family he rarely mentioned. Only after they married, after she was pregnant, did the gilded cage emerge. His family, the Hargroves of Boulder, were old money built on real estate and investments. They didn't disown him for marrying a penniless nobody. They simply ignored her, their silence a crueler weapon than any hostility. She recalled meeting his mother, Catherine Hargrove, once. The woman's handshake was cold, her eyes scanning Maria's plain dress with faint disdain. Jonathan's note, when he left, was brief and devastating. Asterisk, they gave me an ultimatum. The family business or you. I can't drag you and the baby into their world. It would destroy you. I'm sorry. I'll always love you. Asterisk, a coward's excuse. He chose wealth over them, power over his child. Now he was back, offering a piece of that power. It felt like a trap. We can't take it, she said, the words bitter. Alex's face was a mix of confusion and hurt. Why not? Mom, do you know what this could mean? You could quit waitressing. You wouldn't be exhausted all the time. I could go to Caltech or MIT without worrying about loans. It's not that simple, Alex, she insisted, panic rising. Money from him comes with strings. It always does. What strings? Alex pressed, standing. The string where you get more than 5 hours of sleep? Where I can focus on school without worrying about the car breaking down. He owes us, Mom. He owes you. His words silenced her. He was right. Jonathan owed them a debt no money could repay. But this felt less like repayment and more like a purchase, an attempt to buy back the life he'd abandoned. It was about him, not them. That night, sleep was elusive. Maria tossed and turned, haunted by memories and fears. She saw Jonathan's calculating eyes, shadowed with secrets. What did he really want? Why now? People like him didn't act out of pure kindness. There was a motive, a hidden agenda lurking beneath his generous offer. Alex saw a solution, a key to a brighter future. He didn't see the betrayal, the power imbalance, the psychological warfare of accepting anything from the Hargroves. He saw a father trying to make amends. She saw a predator circling back. The next morning, staring at her weary reflection, Maria faced a crossroads. Her pride, her shield for so long, urged her to tear up the documents and shut Jonathan out forever. But her love for Alex whispered a dangerous question. What if refusing robbed him of the future he deserved? The gilded cage was open, and walking away would be as hard as stepping inside. Jonathan called at 10 a.m., his voice crisp, assuming she considered his offer. He wanted to see Alex. He has school, Maria said, gripping the phone tightly. I know. How about Saturday? There's a new aerospace exhibit at the Science Museum he might like. That he'd researched Alex's interests sent a mix of fear and reluctant warmth through her. It was a calculated move, and it was working. I'll ask him, she said. Of course, Jonathan replied smoothly. Tell him I'll pick him up at 11. In Maria, the house is contingent on us building a relationship. The lawyers call it a good faith clause. There was the first string, not a gift, but a transaction. Her cooperation for her son's future. When she told Alex, his face lit up. The aerospace exhibit? I read about that. Mike's dad was supposed to take us, but he's working. His excitement dimmed as he saw her worry. It's okay if you don't want me to go. No, Maria said, the word feeling like defeat. Go. Get to know him. Find out what he wants, she added silently. Saturday arrived under a gray sky. At precisely 11, a sleek black sedan glided up to their building. Jonathan stepped out, dressed in costly casual clothes, a cashmere sweater and jeans pricier than their rent. From the window, Maria watched Alex approach him. Their exchange was awkward, no hug, just a stiff nod. Jonathan opened the car door for his son, a formal gesture. As the car drove off, Maria felt a deep sense of loss, as if she'd handed her son to a stranger from another world. Jonathan, meanwhile, grappled with his own struggles. 9 years climbing the corporate ladder at Hargrove Enterprises, proving himself to the family he'd surrendered to, had left him empty. He could command boardrooms and negotiate massive deals, but he didn't know how to talk to his son. So, aerospace, he began eyes on the road. Yeah, it's cool, Alex replied, looking out the window. I'm on the robotics team at school. We're building a drone for a state competition. This was an opening. Really? What kind of drone? Jonathan asked, a spark of genuine interest in his voice. He understood systems and engineering. As Alex explained propulsion systems and coding logic, the tension in the car eased. Jonathan was impressed by his son's intelligence and passion. This wasn't just a kid. He was a sharp young man. A Hargrove, his mind whispered before he pushed the thought away. At the museum, Jonathan followed Alex's lead, watching his son's eyes light up at intricate displays, engaging with enthusiasm. For the first time, Jonathan saw the boy he'd abandoned, and the weight of his loss hit him hard. He'd missed everything. First steps, first words, first days of school. He was a ghost in a life that had moved on. He tried to connect the only way he knew. If you like this, you should see Hargrove's R&D labs. We're working on autonomous drones and AI systems. I could arrange a tour. Alex's eyes widened. That'd be awesome. Later, in the museum's cafe, Jonathan tried again. The house I mentioned has a large garage. You could turn it into a workshop with top-tier equipment. He was offering things, opportunities, trying to build a bridge with wealth because he lacked shared memories or trust. Alex looked at his soda. That's generous, he said, then met his father's eyes. "Why are you doing this now?" Jonathan had a rehearsed answer about regret, but facing his son, it felt hollow. "Because I made a terrible mistake," he said, raw and unplanned. "I chose my family's expectations over you. I was a coward, and I've regretted it every day for 9 years. It wasn't the full truth, but it was a piece of it, a fragile offering." Alex watched him, unreadable, and Jonathan feared rejection. But then Alex gave a small nod. "Okay," he said softly. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a start. While Alex navigated this new relationship, Maria's unease sharpened into suspicion. Jonathan's confession, relayed by Alex, felt too polished. Regret was powerful, but enough to bring him back after 9 years? She didn't believe it. Her paralegal skills, though rusty, were sharp. On Monday, after dropping Alex at school, she headed to the public library. Her firm's internet was limited, but here she had access to everything. She started with a search, Hargrove Enterprises. The results were a flood of corporate jargon and glossy press releases. Hargrove Enterprises was a major player in real estate and tech investments, a titan of the Rockies. The CEO was Catherine Hargrove, with Jonathan as chief operating officer, the heir apparent. Articles painted a thriving legacy company. But Maria knew the real story lay elsewhere, in financial reports and industry rumors. After 3 hours, she found it. A respected financial blog posted a piece 2 months ago. Asterisk, is the Hargrove empire faltering? Asterisk, it detailed risky, high-debt projects led by Jonathan, including a failed tech park in Europe plagued by regulatory issues and cost overruns. An investment in outdated AI tech had been outpaced by competitors. Hargrove Enterprises was overextended, bleeding cash with nervous creditors. Her blood chilled. This wasn't about regret. It was about survival. She dug deeper, finding a report about a potential merger with a global conglomerate that could save the company. But the conglomerate was cautious, favoring stable, family-run businesses with clear succession. A 33-year-old bachelor leading a struggling dynasty wasn't stable. A man with a son, an heir to the Hargrove name, was. Alex wasn't a son to reclaim. He was an asset to leverage. The betrayal was staggering. The house, the trust fund, it was a signing bonus. That evening, her rage simmered. When Alex came home, excited about a possible R&D lab tour, she could barely look at him. He said he'd introduce me to Dr. Sarah Klein, a legend in AI, Alex said, grabbing milk from the fridge. "Alex, we need to talk," Maria said tightly. She laid it out. The financial troubles, the failed projects, the merger. She explained succession, how an heir could stabilize the company's image. Alex's excitement turned to confusion, then defensive anger. "So you think it's all a lie? He's just using me." "I think it's his main motive," Maria said bluntly. "The timing's too perfect. He ignores you for 9 years, then shows up with a fortune when his company's collapsing. It's not a coincidence. Or maybe his company's collapse made him see what matters," Alex countered, his voice rising. "Maybe failure made him think about us. You don't know." "I know the Hargroves," Maria said bitterly. "They don't have epiphanies. They make calculations. Everything's a transaction. You hate him so much you can't even consider he might be honest," Alex accused, his face flushed. "He admitted he was a coward. He was real with me. It was calculated honesty to win you over." They stood in their tiny kitchen, shouting for the first time in years. Their sanctuary was under siege, not just by Jonathan, but by the hope he represented. Maria saw manipulation. Alex saw a father. "You're scared, Mom," Alex said, his voice low and hurt. "You're so used to struggling, you can't accept anything good. He's trying, and you won't give him a chance." He retreated to his room, the door slam echoing the one that closed her heart 9 years ago. She had the facts, Jonathan's motives exposed, but they were cold against Alex's yearning for a father. A week later, the other shoe dropped. A call came, not from Jonathan, but from a crisp voice identifying as Catherine Hargrove's assistant. The matriarch requested a meeting. "She'd like to meet you for lunch tomorrow," the assistant said, the tone implying a command. "A car will pick you up at noon." Maria wanted to refuse, to tell the bolder elite she wasn't their pawn, but she knew she had to face the source of this poison. The black Mercedes arrived, its driver holding the door like she was royalty. They drove to an exclusive club overlooking Denver, a place of hushed voices and old wealth. Catherine waited at a secluded table, a glass of lemon water before her. Her silver hair was perfect, her face a mask of polite detachment, her eyes scanning Maria's simple blouse with the same disdain as years ago. "Maria," she said, her voice smooth as ice. "Thank you for coming." "I'm not sure I had a choice," Maria replied, sitting. Catherine's thin smile was unyielding. "There's always a choice. The consequences are what's fixed. I assume you're curious why I invited you. I have some guesses." A waitress appeared, and Catherine ordered salads for both without asking Maria, a subtle power play. Alone again, she steepled her fingers. "My son told me about his offer, a house, a trust. A generous gesture." "It's a business deal," Maria countered. "I've read about Hargrove Enterprises' troubles, the failed projects, the merger rumors." Catherine's expression didn't waver. "You've done your research. I'd be disappointed if you hadn't. Stability is critical for us now." "By stability, you mean a male heir to parade for investors?" "Crude, but correct," Catherine said, unashamed. "Legacy, family, succession, these are assets. A visible next-generation signals long-term vision. Alex is a timely discovery. Her transactional view of her grandson sickened Maria. He's a child, not a commodity. He's a Hargrove, Catherine corrected. That brings privilege and duty. We offer the former. He'll learn the latter. The food arrived, but Maria couldn't eat. This was worse than she'd feared. Jonathan was conflicted, but Catherine felt nothing, just cold calculation. "What does my cooperation mean?" Maria asked quietly. "You'll allow Jonathan to build a relationship with his son, support it, move into the house, accept the funds, and present a stable front. You'll play the role we need." "And if I refuse?" Catherine's politeness vanished, her eyes icy. "We'll sue for paternity and full custody. Our lawyers will portray you as an unfit mother, denying her son his father out of spite. They'll dissect your life. Every late bill, every double shift, every time Alex was left with a neighbor. We'll turn your struggle into a weakness. We'll win. Alex will be a Hargrove, with or without you." It was a brutal ultimatum, a display of raw power. Maria had expected a negotiation, not a death sentence. Jonathan's offer was the final move in a game already rigged against her defiance. The gilded cage or a losing battle. She had no real choice. The meeting left Maria hollow, her rage overlaid with dread. Catherine's threats were a calculated strategy. At home, she tried to act normal, but Alex noticed. "What's wrong, Mom?" She couldn't shield him. Sitting at their table, she told him everything. Catherine's threats, the custody battle, the weaponization of their life. Alex's face hardened, his youthful hope replaced by grim maturity. "So, we have to take the house?" he asked quietly. Maria nodded, the admission bitter. "I can't risk losing you." The new house in the East Highlands was a sterile marvel of glass and steel, with 4 bedrooms and a kitchen fit for a magazine. Their old furniture looked out of place in its vast rooms. It was a palace, but a prison. Movers, paid by Hargrove Enterprises, transplanted their life into this empty space. Jonathan became a regular presence, bringing expensive takeout twice a week. He and Alex worked in the garage, now a high-tech workshop talking circuits and code. Maria watched, torn between resentment and grudging gratitude. She hated Jonathan for forcing this life, but Alex was thriving, confident, excited, connected to the father he never knew. Yet this created a rift. Maria's coldness toward Jonathan sparked tension. Why are you always so angry with him? Alex asked after a strained dinner. He's trying, Mom. He's here, helping with my Caltech application. He's doing what his mother wants, Maria said. It's a performance. It doesn't feel like one, Alex snapped. When we're working on drones, he's just a dad. Maybe it started as a business move, but it's not anymore. What I see, Maria said, trembling, is the man who left us and a family that threatened to take you away. I can't just forget that. Nobody's asking you to forget, Alex said, standing. But you're not trying. You'd rather we were struggling in our old place so you could keep hating him. Did you ever think maybe this is better for me? That I want a father? This isn't just about you, Mom. His words hit like a slap. In her focus on betrayal, she'd centered her pain, not Alex's desires. He saw opportunity, not victimhood. Her anger had blinded her to the possibility that something real might grow from Jonathan's selfish motives. That night, in the vast living room, Maria considered that for Alex, this wasn't a cage, but a launch pad. Her role wasn't to fight the warden, but to help her son soar. The breaking point came at a tense Sunday brunch at the Hargrove estate in Boulder, a Gothic mansion that seemed to drain the light. The merger was nearing, and Catherine wanted to showcase the family to key board members. Her every comment to Maria was a veiled jab at her background. Jonathan was tense, hovering near Alex, explaining their lineage in a rehearsed tone. In the study, a board member, Mr. Kendall, turned to Alex. Your father says you're a robotics prodigy. Planning to join Hargrove Enterprises? Alex shifted uncomfortably. I want to study engineering at Caltech first. Catherine interjected smoothly. A Hargrove always gets the best education before taking his place in the company. He's our future. Her hand on Alex's shoulder was proprietary, and the word future sparked his quiet fury. He shrugged her off. With respect, Mrs. Hargrove, my future is mine. My father's helping me pursue it. That's all. Kendall raised an eyebrow, and Catherine's smile tightened. Later, in the foyer, away from guests, she turned on Jonathan. What was that? The boy is defiant. He's an asset, not a project. He needs to know his role. His role is to be my son, mother, Jonathan snapped. Not a bargaining chip. He's whatever we need to save this family, she retorted. I didn't bring you back to develop sentimentality. Handle him, or I will. Her cruelty stunned Maria, but Jonathan's reaction was a revelation. She'd seen him as a coward, but now she saw resentment and self-loathing. He looked at Alex, who stood disillusioned by the door, and made a choice, not the panicked one of 9 years ago, but one born of a decade's regret. No, he said firmly. You won't speak of him like that. This merger isn't worth it. Catherine was aghast. This is everything. The family legacy. What legacy? Jonathan's voice broke. One of threats and manipulation? I sold my soul once. I won't sell my sons. He turned to Maria and Alex, his eyes raw with shame. I'm sorry. This started to save the company, to secure the merger with an heir. But it's not about that now. Getting to know you, Alex. I can't let her use you. He dialed a number. Mr. Kendall, it's Jonathan Hargrove. We're withdrawing from the merger. Personal reasons. Yes, I understand. The call ended with a click like a gunshot. He destroyed his company, his inheritance, his life's work to protect the son he'd abandoned. Maria expected to feel vindicated, but instead felt a flicker of respect. The coward was gone, replaced by a man who'd burned his gilded cage. The drive back to Denver was quiet, a new silence of shock and fragile hope. Jonathan drove to their old apartment, not the East Highlands house. The house, the trust, they were tied to my position, he said. After today, they're gone. My mother will insure it. There was no self-pity, just fact. So we're back where we started, Maria said softly. I'm sorry, Alex. I offered you the world and showed you its ugliness. Alex looked at him. You stood up to her. You chose me. Jonathan turned, his face etched with regret. It's the only choice I should have made. 9 years too late. Maria surprised herself. It's not gone. My firm's small but smart. The trust was legally binding, contingent on good faith. Blowing up a billion-dollar merger to protect your son? That's good faith. She can't touch it. Jonathan stared, stunned. He'd overlooked Maria's sharp mind. The house isn't the company's name, he said. They'll take it. Fine, Maria replied. We didn't like it anyway. Like living in a showroom. She looked at Alex. But the trust is yours. For your education, your future. You've earned it. This was her move. The power was hers now. This changes things, Jonathan. No more deals, no performances. If you want to be in Alex's life, be a father, not a benefactor. You'll go to his robotics competitions, help with physics, meet him where he is. Those are the terms. It was a truce, not surrender. Jonathan nodded, a genuine smile breaking through. Okay, Maria. Good terms. As they walked to their shabby apartment, Maria felt lighter. She'd faced the queen and won by refusing to play her game. She'd reclaimed their lives from the Hardgrove Empire. They were back where they started, but everything had changed. The ghosts were faced, the motives exposed, the war over, not by money, but by redemption. 6 months later, the rain on their apartment windows felt cleansing, not melancholic. They stayed in their cramped space, a homecoming, not a defeat. The trust for Alex held, as Maria predicted. Catherine, battling to save her company post-merger failure, left it alone after a letter from Maria's firm. Jonathan was a regular, awkward presence. Stripped of his title and fortune, he worked as a consultant for a small tech firm, trading his Mercedes for a modest car and suits for casual shirts. The change suited him. He brought time, not gifts, spending Saturdays with Alex in their makeshift workshop, heads bent over drone designs. He cheered at Alex's robotics competitions in crowded gyms. He was learning to be a father, humbly. His relationship with Maria was a careful truce. The wounds hadn't healed, and there was no fairy tale romance, but the bitterness had softened into respect. They could discuss Alex's future without betrayal shadow. One Wednesday, Jonathan was over for noodle night, helping Alex with a physics problem at their small table. You take the derivative of the outer function, then multiply by the inner function's derivative, he explained, sketching on a napkin. Chain rule. Alex's eyes lit up. Got it. Maria watched from the stove, a small smile forming. Her life was still work and bills, but the weight of doing it alone was gone. Their fortress for two had a visitor who'd earned his place. As Jonathan left, he paused. Thank you, Maria, for letting me back in. For everything. You did the hard part, she said softly. You chose him. He nodded, a mix of pain and peace on his face. Best decision I ever made. She closed the door, the rain's gentle patter soothing. Redemption wasn't dramatic. It was slow, quiet, showing up daily, choosing love over legacy, connection over contracts. Their life hadn't changed overnight, but it had transformed into something hopeful, something real. The story of Maria, Alex, and Jonathan teaches that redemption isn't erasing the past, but finding the courage to build a new future, one choice at a time. What is the true meaning of family? Is it blood or the daily choices we make? Share your thoughts below, and if this story moved you, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who values an emotional journey. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories.